guys, and welcome to a new Speedpaint. This time around I did fan art of Calyrex and Mitsuri. This is a drawing I had sketched and line arted last year and finally had the time to finish it, or at least get to the point where I'm satisfied and I'm ready to move on to something newer. The structure of this speed paint will basically cover the flat coloring and the background rendering. I think this is the last piece I'll be recording using the Mac screen recording feature because it makes the Mac lag on my end. And I believe I mentioned this in previous speed paints that I was having issues with it, but at this point I'm not even gonna look into it anymore. So I'm just going to fully transition into the Clip Studio Paint time-lapse feature from now on for the next speed paints. That way I can save up more of my Mac's hard drive space for other things and slowly clean up and get rid of big files in my hard drive. I have a MacBook Air, so it's not like I could just swap out like the hard drive component and upgrade the storage space or internal components. So I'm just trying to be more mindful of how I use my digital storage space going forward while I gather the money to upgrade to more flexible working equipment. I also gotta figure out how to add a background or overlay in iMovie so you guys don't just see the black border in the back because of the way that the video format is done. But with that preface out of the way, let me go ahead and get into the details of this drawing. First of all, let me open this part of the speed paint by saying that I absolutely love the DLC for Sword and Shield. Both waves of the DLC were super fun to me, and I think the Crown Tundra had me really excited and curious at the same time, which is surprising given that I do not like cold in general, and the Crown Tundra is essentially a tundra and it's a cold environment, but it was really pretty. Exploring the Crown Tundra and following the little footprints of the legendaries plus doing the side quest of getting the horse and getting Calyrex back to his usual power, absolutely cute as heck. Legit, he was so polite to you, and how he possesses Peony is the cutest thing ever. Like, absolutely cute. Like, the whole idea of a freaking legendary acting so polite and humble and stumbling over itself because it has to ask you for help to recover the trust between his steed and him absolutely melted me. Like, it was super cute. His design is so dang cute. His big head is so dang adorable. I just wanna like pat it. But like, it's okay. You'll be fine. It'll be alright. We'll help you. I don't see why people dislike his design. Like, when he first came out, people were like, oh, it's dumb, too big of a head, like, the design is bad. And I'm like, no, it's not bad, it's alright, it's cute, you guys don't, it's fine. People are entitled to their own opinions as long as they're not assholes about it. But yeah, like, he's just absolutely cute, adorable, love him, lives rent free in my head. I actually took a lot of pictures on my Switch because I enjoyed the storyline with Calyrex so much that I wanted to reflect that in the picture, which is what inspired the background for the piece. In fact, I have this headcanon that Mitsuri is just taking Calyrex on a stroll, and he's so flustered about her enjoying his company so much and being carried around like a baby. Because he's a baby in my head. He lives rent-free in my head and heart. He's an absolute cutie. Anyway, I think I was trying a new style with this piece, coming off of a high of actually figuring out how to do hair. Normally, my hair renderings do not come out this textured, so I think the best part of this piece is how I did the hair strands for Mitsuri and that one tree in the background that you will see. And of course, baby Calyrex over here, he's just absolutely cutie. I think I got his rendering and lighting pretty good to the reference that I was looking at. Regardless, I think now in retrospect, now that I had some time to really sit down and look at the picture, the style for this piece is all over the place. My god. Not that it's a bad thing in general, but yeah, it just shows how much more I have to improve. And another thing that I'm noting now that I'm looking at the picture is that I'm getting better at drawing expressions and clothing. Of course, my coloring background is mostly from working with the oil paints and watercolors traditionally, so I just gotta figure out how Clip Studio Paint actually goes about imitating those mediums and understanding how to properly use them. Of course, that will take practice and time, but I'm in no rush. I'm in no rush to figure this out. Like, I'll take it one step at a time. You will see that I tried to render the grass patches in the front and end up making a mistake of blurring them out, because for the life of me I couldn't really figure out how to go about doing the grass patches with the tools that I had available in Clip Studio Paint. I'm also aware that there is a store of assets to get brushes and other stuff in Clip Studio Paint, but I want to learn my basic tools first before going on a spree of getting a bunch of brushes that I probably won't really use. All in all, I think I'm starting to get back into doing elaborate backgrounds, and that was a topic I wanted to delve more during my final semester in college for my advanced drawing class, and I think I'm slowly going to work on backgrounds while I discover other coloring styles besides cell shading and straight up painting, like with oil paints and watercolor. I gotta find my way about how I go about this stuff, and that will take time, but honestly I'm okay with it. Eventually I will find my rhythm in making these backgrounds again, because I think it's been a hot minute since I've rendered a background properly, and redoing a background after not doing that for so long was kind of difficult, like in the sense of approaching how to paint the background and relearning how to paint freehand again. It has been quite a bit since I've painted anything without a clear idea of how to lay down the color, and I think the last time that I touched any sort of paint has probably been around 6 months or so, give or take. So yeah, I had to take a bit longer to stop and think about my approach on how to put down the color and think it through, and then figure out how to render it. Then again, Clip Studio Paint has a different workflow than Firealpaca, and I could take note of that just from this experiment alone. Like, the functions didn't work like how I normally use them in Firealpaca, so I had to take a mental note while figuring out the rendering and lighting as I worked on the background. I'm becoming more aware that I've developed a lot of bad habits from Firealpaca transitioning into Clip Studio Paint. So going forward, I will do my best to break those habits of zooming in and out and try to keep a more relaxed view of my workspace. I think also going forward, I'm gonna do my best to make more render backgrounds and make full illustrations like how I envision them and dream of making for portfolio pieces. And speaking of portfolio pieces, I will be developing a new portfolio in the upcoming months, so pieces will look more polished and complete, definitely better than what are looking here. And at the very end, I will compile the portfolio pieces into a scene, and I'm gonna make the scene featuring Mitsuri in it and possibly have that as a merch for my patrons. And if you guys didn't know or are just hearing about this, I have a Patreon page. All the money collected from the Patreon will be dedicated to getting equipment I need for better looking speed paints, also studio supplies, and eventually living expenses as a full-time illustrator. A lot of the content over on my Patreon will be exclusive inside look of my everyday and plans going forward with art, and also patrons get to download exclusive stuff to their devices, such as line arts of pieces that I've done, HD scans of the drawings that I've done, and also other traditional artwork that I do. They get commission discounts and other announcements that don't really get out into the world via my social media pages. So right now I'm working a temporary job just to gather some funds for more recording equipment like tripods and SD cards and something better to manage the art making process on my end, so I have something to put out to give you guys. And it's gonna also cover most of the expenses of maintaining that website for my professional art making stuff and for applications. Eventually, I will also retouch my social media accounts by giving them a visual rehaul along with the website, and repurpose a lot of my accounts to fit more the vision I have for building a social media presence. So if all of that sounds promising and or interesting to you, then please consider supporting me through my Patreon or by following my social media links down in the description below. Everything's listed down there. So with all that being said, I hope you guys like the very first speed paint of this month. Let me know if you also have a Switch or play Pokemon or have thoughts of the DLC in general. I'd love to hear your experience with Sword and Shield, or with the DLC, or with the Switch in general, what things you play. I have yet to decide what the next speed paint will be in 2 weeks, but I will figure something out within this week, since I record these about a week or so before I release them. So we'll see, although I have a hunch that it's probably gonna be the 50 Twitter follower celebratory illustration. That's probably gonna be the next speed paint, but we'll see what happens in this week. If you guys really enjoyed the Calyrex drawing, then please do me a solid and give it a share around social media. I will leave the link to the illustration posting when it does get up in the description box as well. So with all of that mess being said, thank you so much for spending a bit of your day with me, and I hope you guys have a good one wherever you guys are, and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks, hopefully, give or take, if all things go according to plan. But yeah, with that being said, I will leave you guys. I'll be working hard to get all of these things sorted out. I don't know if we're gonna have a big end slate or not. Maybe. We'll see. But yeah. So this was the speed paint for this one. I had a lot of fun making this drawing, this illustration, and I'm learning a lot of things. I'm also blending a lot of things. So if you are one of my patrons, you know what's coming. The posts are there. I will try to update as soon as possible. If you are not on my Patreon, along with the big advertisement intro that I did, patrons also get their name shout out at the end of the video in the scrolling credits. But with that being said, I'm gonna head out. I have other things to do. I'll be working hard. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.